Let's move on to the landing page. I'm working in the landing.html file. And here, I've just copied all the information from the article.html file, which is the same. The overall structure, the head information, the header, and the footer. Not forgetting the div that I have inside the body here with the class container, which I'm closing just before the body end. Inside the header and the footer, I'm going to be putting all the unique design HTML that we see in the right-hand design here. Let's not forget our main element. This will wrap all of the content we're about to write until the end of this part of the project. At the top of this design, we have a featured card which links to an article. Let's begin with this, and then we'll move on to the list below it. The whole page may seem a bit complicated at first. There's lots of images and buttons, but if we break it down, you'll see it's less complicated than it first appears. Let's go back to saying what we see. Although this isn't a full article, it is a piece of reusable content, one that we could remove from the page and use elsewhere. So let's make it an article element. It has an image to the right. This is directly related to the rest of the article content and is not a background image, so we'll write it as an image element in our HTML. Now there's a couple of bits here which we've seen before from the previous article page. We have the heading, the category, and the time. We should try and keep them as close to what we've written before as possible. This will become much more apparent when we come to write the CSS later on, but there's no reason why we should deviate from our previous decisions anyway. We should put them in the order that makes most sense. So let's start with the header. Inside the header, there's the heading text, which we'll put as a H2. We also have that blue categories link. We can use the same class as we did in the article page. And then there's the time as well. One thing I am going to add is a div around the link for the business category and the time, because visually they are grouped together in the design. There's a sentence and summary text underneath the header, so let's put that in a paragraph. There's also a read more link at the bottom of this area. There's a couple of things to say about this read more link. Firstly, we know it's a link, so we can use an anchor. it has this arrow after it. Now we can use our HTML entities that we've seen before, like our copyright symbol in the footer. The one for a long arrow pointing right is long right arrow. We've got our read more with a right arrow. If we look at our design, there's lots of read more links all the way through it. If you couldn't see this design and you were just reading the content and all the read more links were written in the HTML like this, just read more, there's nothing to say what you're reading more about. They just say read more. So we can use our special ARIA attributes to tell the user what you're reading more about. This makes that link unique and accessible. The other thing to note is that not all of this content is actually part of this header. It's probably just the title and the category and the time. So let's move that ending header to underneath where that time finishes. So the paragraph and the read more link are not part of it. And that is the content for that bigger featured article at the top of the page. Let's move on to take a look at this list underneath it.